let's get this thing started. Hey, martial arts instructors. So, today is going to be about a topic that I didn't think I'd run into for some time. Well, actually, more like I thought I'd run into it sooner. And that's neutrality. And why it sucks when it comes to a marketing standpoint. So, this presentation is for people who, instructors who teach Southeast Asian martial arts professionally, who feel like they can use more students in their practice, who want to avoid the usual slog of having to compete with other schools, big box gyms, and even, people's inherent laziness. And it's also for instructors who want to hone in on one particular audience instead of looking and feeling like general services. And it's also for instructors who have a starting student base. I have nothing against, people who don't have students yet, but I'm just not experienced in helping completely, fresh out of the water instructors. It's not my experience. For those of you who don't know me, my name is So Tun, and I've written copy for 3 different martial arts organizations. Of the 3, 2 of them had email lists that they emailed regularly, and the last one, not so much. Now, the names are hidden for privacy, but 2 of them deal with combatives, and 1 is just traditional Southeast Asian martial arts. And 2 of those organizations have mailing lists of around 2,000 strong, and the 3rd one had 300. So I got to learn quite a bit writing for those guys. And out of all of them, none of them ever really had the complete piece of direct response marketing. Each of them had certain pieces, but that's why I'm here. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't need me around anyways. So, just a little food for thought. I want you to think about the last time where you accidentally offended someone. Like, you didn't mean to, you didn't go out of your way to, smack someone in the feels, but something you said kind of rubbed them the wrong way. I want you to think on that. Now, what if I were to tell you that is a good thing? Because, see, too many, and I think it's an issue with a lot of small business owners in the martial arts industry these days. This was a recent problem that I ran into because the first 2 organizations I worked under, or worked with rather, were really good at polarizing. The 3rd one was trying to play it neutral, so I kind of hoped I'd steer them away from that. And being too neutral hurts your business. Here's how. Because when you're neutral, you're a wallflower, you're the gray man, and when you don't stand out, that makes you incredibly easy to forget. And in business, being forgettable hits you right in the wallet, because people who don't remember you cannot learn from you. They can't do business with you. They can't find you unless they try really fucking hard. So, with that said, what's the plan? You don't have to try super hard to be polarizing, because if you're a human being with a personality beyond being a robot, then you will naturally polarize. It's pretty much like this one post I remember seeing where it talks about how you can't say anything without offending at least one kind of person out there these days on social media. This is true. You're inevitably going to step on some toes when you're being you. Now, can this hamper professionalism? Only if you let it. Because, see, there's a right way to polarize, there's a wrong way to polarize. And the wrong way is when you intentionally go out of your way to be a complete and utter tool to not just the people you don't want, but to your ideal student too. See, when you polarize naturally, you should attract more of your ideal student. And at the same time, you also repel the people you don't really want because they just can't mesh well with you. And that's the thing. I want you to think back. As a martial arts instructor, to, the last time you had a favorite type of student. Now, try not to bullshit me or yourself on this, because we all have favorite kinds of people. That's the truth. In fact, in my case, I'd personally like to work more with martial arts instructors who have a good enough knowledge on direct response marketing, because that means that's less time I spend getting on the same page with them and more time I spend delivering on my services. It's the same thing with you. You don't want to have to spend more time trying to build a bridge that wasn't meant to be built in the first damn place. You want to work with people that are already easy enough for you to work with, so you can really deliver your training. So, how do you polarize? It's as simple as being natural. You really, really shouldn't have to try hard for this, because sometimes it's as simple as going to one particular niche. For example, I wrote in here, that the PTTA specializes in combatives and catering to more sophisticated martial artists. These are people who've already gone past the whole stage of being an invincible badass. But there's also Raw Combat, who talks very specifically to people who are kind of disillusioned with their previous martial arts training because said martial arts training failed them. Or even Tiga Tactics, who talks to people who are just looking specifically for simple self-defense training, instead of trying to dedicate an entire lifetime to martial arts. Even though you and I probably agree that martial arts is a worthy pursuit for a lifetime. And, other instructors will let their personality show in their content and their copy. Raw Combat's Luke Holloway really comes to mind. And this one is just as natural, because just by being yourself, you already risk polarizing your audience. You're going to step on someone's toes speaking from your perspective. It's going to happen. So you might as well kind of embrace that and just go with the flow. So here's what not to do. Don't try to polarize. Okay? You don't want to force yourself into this kind of archetype, into this kind of model of behavior that just isn't you. Right? You don't want to have to form that whole 180 unless if you really feel like you can grow into it, because that's just going to do just as much damage to your marketing as being neutral will. But at the same time, unless if your personality by default is that of a total asshole, don't try to be an asshole. Like, it doesn't work unless if you've had some experience with it, basically, is what I'm saying. And, there are people who can pull off being an asshole right, and that's because they may be an asshole, but they deliver, and they're not an asshole to their people. So, keep those 2 points in mind when you're trying to figure out what not to do and what to do. So, with that said, what's next? Go ahead, stay tuned for the next livecast, and, in the meantime, if you want more enrollments, I've put out 2 frameworks that can help you write your own copy, with one of them being uber specific to email. The first one is for copywriting in general, and this one's phrased in boxing terminology, which makes it simpler to understand. Now, this copy framework works for any copy you might think of. We're talking, sales pages, landing pages, email, Facebook ads, banner ads maybe. The only real caveat is that you have to know your audience. And by know your audience, I mean down to the most granular freaking detail that you can think of, because in direct response marketing, there is no such thing as too much information. In fact, if you think you have too much information, chances are you have half the information that you actually need to really speak to your audience in a way that resonates with them. Oh, check it out, typo. But yeah, know your audience, get specific on their wants, their needs, and what the hell they expect out of martial arts training, and you will be able to reel them in. And once you do, this copy framework can really work its magic for you. In fact, I still refer to it often enough that it's actually stuck in my head, so it helps with my editing as well. The other framework is the email framework, and this one gives you a guideline on two things: what kind of content you want in your email, and how often you want to email. Now, do note it does have to be more regular than once a month, and it does have to be regular rather than sporadic, because if you email too infrequently, the filters will end up automatically marking you as junk mail. This has happened to some of the mailing lists I've been on before, where, I'll wonder where the hell this month's issue is, and then I'll have to dig into my spam box and go, oh, there you are, what the hell? And as for content, you want to be very attentive to the content that you put in your email, because the right content that's relevant to your audience's needs and wants will boost your open rates to at least a 26%. Now, with this framework, I cannot guarantee that you're going to get a 100% open rate. In fact, I can guarantee you the exact opposite. I have never seen an email list get 100. It just doesn't happen. People are either too busy, they're on too many mailing lists with shiny object syndrome out the ass, or something stops all the people from opening your emails all the damn time. But get this framework, answer the questions in there honestly enough, and you should be able to get somewhere around like a 26%. Shouldn't be too much of an issue if you're good. Now, if you're a beginner to email copywriting, it's going to take some practice, but you can probably work your way up to that. So, wow, this information's outdated, but if you want it and you're seeing this on Facebook, instead of booking a call with me in the comments, go ahead and just private message me your email, and I'll go ahead and send it to you. But if you're on YouTube, if you're seeing this on YouTube, again, find me on YouTube, private message me your email, and I'll send you the frameworks. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed that presentation. I hope it helped you, and I'll see you guys around for now. Thank you.